Asking if South Texas is interesting is like asking if the cedar tree is allergy inducing. Of course it is. And so interesting, in fact, that they've made movies about it.
Hollywood thought it was perfect too, filming the movie 7 Days in Utopia here, starring Robert Duvall.
And borrowed intersecting streets for hit songs. This town is home to the corner of First and Amistad. It doesn't look like much, but it's the only intersection in the country with that name. And if it sounds familiar, there's a good reason for that.
Yes, it's the intersection made famous in the 2009 song, You Found Me by The Fray.
That was in K-Motto, where the origins of the town, which translates to burned or scorched, isn't quite certain.
Live from KSAT 12, the 6 o'clock news starts right now.
We just were making a little tour of the area. It's hard to believe the devastation. Trees that are 100 years old just ripped out of the ground. I've never seen anything like it. I've seen a lot of bad ones. I've gone to a lot of hurricanes, a lot of tornadoes. I've never seen anything like this. This is a bad one.
We're going to rebuild this community from Hunt to Camp Mystic to Kerrville down below.
This is only the beginning. This community, this region, and this state is not ready for the power of philanthropy that is coming to this town. We are going to do so much good because we are from Texas, and Texans step up and we handle it.
God bless you. God bless Texas. God bless its generous people. And may God continue to bless those who today find themselves still in grief. Amen.
Amen. Prayers pouring in tonight for the Texas Hill Country. We are 1 week removed from one of the state's deadliest natural disasters. 7 days later, and the wreckage can still be found far and wide throughout the Hill Country. Good evening, I'm Steve Spriester. It was a big day for the Texas Hill Country. President Donald Trump surveying the damage firsthand earlier today. More on the president's visit in just a little bit, but first we want to bring you the latest numbers as they stand right now. Currently, there are 121 people confirmed dead in the state of Texas as a result of the flooding. We know 96 of those are from Kerr County. Countless people are still missing. We continue to shine a spotlight on those who lost their lives as a result of this tragedy. The names, the photos of those victims continue to come into our newsroom. As you look at their faces, it's a harsh reminder that so many people were taken from their families far too soon. KSAT made a commitment from the very beginning to be fully involved in the Hill Country, bringing you the stories of impacted community members and the recovery efforts in the wake of the flooding. Our team coverage continues from the Hill Country this afternoon. That's where we find Stephanie Jimenez and Myra Arthur, who join us now live from Kerrville. Myra, Stephanie, we know you guys were there as the president made his way through the area. Can you talk about the feeling in that area as the president toured the devastation?
Well, Steve, yeah, we are here live in Kerrville, just along the river's banks, in a neighborhood that was dealt a huge blow 1 week ago today. The president's presence certainly was felt through the whole town of Kerrville. Everyone seemed to know that he was going to be making a visit today. You could really tell, of course, when we saw his huge motorcade, lines of flashing lights, a lot of motorcycles driving by. It was noteworthy. It was something people paid attention to. But I got to tell you, it didn't mean a break in the mission here on the ground. It didn't mean that the crews standing behind us as that motorcade went by stopped with their chainsaws or their front-end loaders, earth movers digging through the incredible piles of debris. It was just that the mission just kept going on even as that significant visit was happening today.
A 24/7 operation, Myra, and I'm glad that you pointed that out. The president landed in Air Force One around noon today at JBSA Lackland in San Antonio, and our crews were right there as he touched the ground. Now, from there, he was then taken to Kerrville, where he got a first-hand look at some of the damage from this July 4th flooding.
The president was met by local leaders, including the Kerr County Sheriff. The chief of the Texas Division of Emergency Management was there as well, along with other first responders. Then after that, the president and along with Governor Greg Abbott, they held a roundtable discussion, a press conference, if you will, along with other state and federal leaders.
So at the top of the newscast right here at 6 o'clock, some of the comments comments, you heard them, made by President Trump and also Governor Greg Abbott. The tone of the press conference was different because it was really about rebuilding and also healing.
So both the president and the governor did echo the message that we have heard from first responders, that the search, recovery, rescue efforts, they are ongoing even at this hour. And speaking of those crews that are doing that incredibly arduous work, they are still facing the daunting task of combing through some of these massive piles of debris that really just, when you see it firsthand, you know the task that is laid out before them. This all stretches roughly 80 miles as well. I think this is the first time, Stephania, we have seen so much activity in this neighborhood, an indication to me that they are slowly working their way down the Guadalupe River.
And NIMCAD said earlier today that they have 12,300 volunteers, and that just gives you an idea of the magnitude of this relief operation. Now today we found people drawn to Kerrville, some of them seeing this wreckage for the very first time, and they say that they have to do something. Our Dylan Collier spoke with them, and he shares what else they told him.
Yeah, we've seen the widespread organized search efforts in places like Hunt and Center Point. This was not that, but as one searcher told me, many hands make light work. With the floodwaters receded,
accidental shovel.
Nathan Kleinen's on summer break from Sam Houston State. Spent the afternoon crisscrossing land he'd never set foot on before.
I've been through hurricanes and whatnot, but nothing was compared to this.
A camp counselor himself, Nathan's been impacted by the tragedy and loss of young lives at Camp Mystic.
I seen all the kids from the camp, all the devastation, all the loss. Just made me feel so bad because I knew how much the kids at my camp mean to me.
Then there's musician Noah Reinecker, part of a group of people who pulled up and spread out.
We're just kind of freelancing. So we're looking for places where there's huge brush piles and doesn't seem to be a lot of emergency services or people.
The goal, to bring the search one step closer to being complete.
I don't really know what it looks like before this, but I can imagine it was a really nice city.
And we are in Kerrville, not far from the G Street Bridge. I think it's worth pointing out just how strikingly different the landscape looks now than it did just over a week ago. Huge trees and grass along these banks has been replaced by uprooted, splintered trees and large swaths of sand. Truly unbelievable. Reporting live in Kerrville tonight, Dylan Collier, KSAT 12 News.
It's striking everywhere you look. Dylan, thank you for that. You know, moments ago, we heard from a helicopter rescue crew that was in Kerrville. They were saving lives July 4th, and among them is rescue swimmer Scott Ruskin.
He is credited with saving 169 people. On top of that, this was his very first mission. Ruskin made it a point to share the acknowledgement that he is getting for that, noting this was a team effort. Here's what he had to say about those rescues.
I think we really just have to rely on our training. That's the only thing we had. Rely on the training, rely on the crew, and just know that we're trained as well as we can be.
Yeah, the entire crew there saying that what they've accomplished still hasn't fully set in. I'm sure there was a lot of adrenaline there when they were saving all of those people. They also wanted to make it known that the real heroes in all of this were the brave young girls being rescued, and the counselors also assisting in rallying girls together each time that the helicopter came back to pick up more of them. Now, you know, a sign of unity and remembrance, you may have noticed a lot of green ribbons. You're probably going to see more and more of them around the community here in the Hill Country, but also in San Antonio. They're to honor those who are missing or who died in the Hill Country flooding.
They really are put up across the state now because so many parts of the state were affected by those lost, especially at Camp Mystic. Sarah Acosta goes to Alamo Heights, one of the communities in our area where you're going to see a lot of green ribbons, and she explains the significance of that color green.
As a mom, you won't understand that feeling unless you are a mom. So it breaks my heart.
Reese Peacock is the owner of Sunset & Co. and Capri by Sunset and Sunset Ridge Shopping Center in Alamo Heights. She says putting the green ribbons outside their business is the least they can do.
And I think the green ribbons just is a great reminder to keep those families and those victims in your thoughts and prayers.
Green ribbons have been popping up across the community, especially in Alamo Heights. The color green represents Camp Mystic to honor the campers who died and those who are still missing, but also all of the flood victims impacted by the deadly Hill Country floods. One of Alamo Heights' own included on that list.
A week later, since the floods, Kellyanne Lytle is still missing. She's a student here at Cambridge Elementary, and to show their support for her and many others, the school was one of the first places to put up green ribbons.
We added the green ribbons like some other people in the community have also done. And then our broker asked if we could add the purple in remembrance of a specific girl that was lost in the Camp Mystic floods.
Mindy Keller says they put out the ribbons outside the Corey Heights building on Broadway as a sign of solidarity with the community.
A lady drove by when we were putting them up, and she stopped to thank us for doing so. She said she was a Camp Mystic camper back in the day, and it made her feel really nice that people were coming together to show their support.
A show of support. It's why Peacock says they have donated $5,000 worth of supplies from their hardware store to the Salvation Army. And customers can also donate to the Hill Country flood victims at the register of the store. They will also be giving 100% of their proceeds from their women's boutique store Capri on July 15th that will also go to flood victims and relief efforts.
During these times, coming together as a community in some way to kind of feel connected is so important.
Sarah Costa, KSAT 12 News.
You know, in response to the devastating 4th of July floods, KSAT 12, KPRC, our parent company, Graham Media Group, and also Gray Media, which owns stations across the country, have united to launch an urgent donation drive. It's called Together for Texas. You can scan the QR code that you see on your screen. It'll take you directly to the donation page, and we're very proud to say right now that so far the campaign has already raised more than $350,000.
And every cent, all of the funds raised will go directly to the community, to those on-the-ground efforts in flood-affected areas through the Salvation Army. The Salvation Army's emergency disaster services teams, they are actively working in these affected communities. They're providing meals, hydration, emotional and spiritual care as well. They continue to call for more support to meet this growing need that will last a very long time. You know, here in Kerrville, there is a wall that has sprung up. It is being called a Wall of Hope. It is a place where all day long people have been stopping by to honor and remember those killed in these floods.
Our Erica Hernandez and photojournalist Robert Samaron were there all day, and they captured the moments as so many people stopped by to pay their respects.
It's really sad. Yeah. I just keep thinking about all the people that have lost everything. And I know it sounds weird, but I keep thinking that I was in my bed listening to the pouring down rain while people were losing their lives in the river. And I'm having a hard time to get over.
Sticking together, you know, we all are here as one family. It's very difficult. We just want to honor the people that passed. It just means a lot that we can come by here and look at these faces. I had a dear friend that passed in the flood at 4:30 in the morning. His name was Al Oreo. He just definitely had a servant's heart and very great sense of humor.
Easiest way to process it and, you know, try to help.
Just wanted to support in the smallest way we can.
It's really been heartbreaking.
Everyone has been touched because everybody knows everybody.
People who have come out to be part of this and to support and all the donations and the volunteers and everything, it is truly a testament to Hill Country Strong.
And at that very Wall of Hope, more people are going to be gathering at 7 p.m. tonight for a vigil.
So many young faces, so many little faces on that wall. Our John Paul Barajas will be at that vigil tonight. We're going to hear from him coming up a little bit later in this newscast. Our coverage will continue from here in the Hill Country, but for now, Steve, we're going to send things back to you in the studio.
Yeah, all those pictures on that Wall of Hope, really something to see. Thank you, Myra. Thank you, Stephania. Let's check out the traffic situation right now in San Antonio. We showed you a traffic trouble spot earlier. It was the I-10 in Callahan, the westbound lanes. That has cleared at this hour, so that's some good news on your Friday. We're not finished with our coverage on the deadly flooding coming up. We're going to show you how a group of local mothers created a Facebook page to recover precious items in the wake of the flooding. And happening now, we're keeping an eye on a planned protest over recent immigration arrests. We'll take you there live right after the break. Welcome back. We'll get back to our live team coverage from the Texas Hill Country in just a few minutes. But first, I want to bring you some news that's happening here in San Antonio. Our Zaria Oates joins us now live from Southwest Military and Zarzamora, where there's a planned protest unfolding. Zaria, I understand this was all organized over immigration moves that have played out in San Antonio and across the country. Zaria.
Hey, Steve. Yeah, the focus is against mass deportations. They just started giving some speeches right here. People started getting here about 15 to 20 minutes before this was supposed to start at 6 p.m. Just now they've started speaking, but quite a few people are holding signs. I'm going to walk kind of facing with my back to you so I can see where I'm going because they're just off the side of the road. But this is what's going on here. There are about 30, 40 people, both with this group, the Party for Social Liberation and and not with the group. They are all holding different kinds of signs. Some say to keep ICE out of the courts, which is a callback to what has been happening of ICE agents waiting outside of the courts in downtown San Antonio and picking up people after their hearings. This is something we will continue to follow throughout the evening to see how this goes, to see what their main points are, and to see if there is a main goal here for ICE or for other leaders in our community. We will continue to monitor the situation here to make sure that it stays calm. It is just off of the road here, and then we'll also talk to them about their mission for tonight. Live on the South Side, I'm Zaria Oaks.
Thank you, Zaria. All right, let's check the weather situation outside right now, and a dry day. For a big part of our viewing area. We haven't been able to say that for a few days, Shelby.
It's been a good day and a half, Steve, where yesterday and today most of us were just sitting dry. And once again, it's not going to stick around for long. We are tracking more chances of some rain, but next week looks very promising. Now, right now, take a look at Authority radar. We are still tracking a few showers and some storms in areas of Pleasanton, but that's it. They're maybe lasting an hour at most, and then they're continuing to quickly diminish. And that's going to be the story over the next few hours. But tomorrow is going to be different. We're starting off waking up in the morning in those 70s, peak temperature getting to about 94 degrees. But those rain chances, once again, are going to continue in the afternoon. And here's kind of a breakdown of what you need to know. Starting off tonight, over throughout the next few hours, we're going to continue to just have a few scattered showers. Nothing really impactful for most of us, maybe just a quick sprinkle. But overnight by tomorrow morning, we're going to continue to see the potential for some cloudy skies in the morning, but then we're starting to see some extra moisture near the coastal plains, and that's where it's going to start tomorrow morning, is along the coast. We're going to start to see those showers move up into areas of Houston, but also having a potential to impact in areas of the hill country. It's just going to be a light sprinkle in the morning, maybe a quick downpour at times, and really also along I-35 is where we're looking at. And then that's going to continue throughout the rest of your afternoon hours. And then the sun sets, and this is the next thing we're watching, Saturday night into Sunday morning. Over the next few hours, we're continuing to see some extra moisture move in from areas of Abilene and San Angelo, and this is what we're watching specifically, is there's the potential for that line of some showers and storms to move in through areas of the hill country. It appears that there's the potential it might diminish or start to break up, so it's not going to be as severe, but that's what we're watching, is the potential as it moves into areas of northern portion of just north of Bexar County, between Gillespie, even getting to Travis County, and specifically in areas of Kendall and Kerr County, where they were hit hardest because all of the ground is so saturated that the water doesn't have the ability to really soak into the ground. So we're watching the potential for that flash flooding. But the good news is that does appear to start to dissipate by around lunchtime. But then we're tracking more potential in the afternoon to continue to start to pop up. But that will also depend on how soon we're seeing the rain in the morning break up. But once again, tomorrow, we're tracking that marginal and that slight risk for some flooding, not only in Bexar County, but once again for the hill country. We'll keep you posted on the very latest. And then after this weekend, great news. We're starting to dry up, specifically on Monday and Tuesday, Stephania and Myra, especially for the hardest hit areas of the hill country.
And Shelby, thank you so much for that. And now we continue our team coverage in Kerrville 1 week after the deadly flooding.
Coming up after the break, a lot of families have been making pleas online to recover some very precious items from the Guadalupe River after these floods. And some local moms decided to create a very special Facebook page that has taken off. I'll tell you what they're doing after the break.
As we continue our live coverage here from Kerrville, we have just learned sobering new numbers from officials here in Kerr County, where they've confirmed the death toll has continued to rise. We've learned that at least 103 people in Kerr County alone are confirmed dead as a result of the flooding. 67 of them adults, 36 of them children.
And we know that those search and recovery efforts are still happening as we speak. You know, so many of these young victims were summer campers. And when kids go to camp, they get to take a special comfort item from home with them. And if you're a parent, you know that that is often a very well-loved stuffed animal. Sometimes they call them loveys or stuffies.
But a week ago, raging floodwaters swept away a lot of those so-called loveys. And days ago, posts from parents began circulating online, and people were pleading for help finding those precious items. So, as our Courtney Friedman reports, a group of local moms took action.
They may look small, but for kids, they represent the biggest things: comfort, safety, friendship, and love. All the things kids need at summer camp.
So they're allowed to bring their one stuffy or lovey or, whatever, how they refer to it as. Like this would be the one my son would take with him.
But so many loveys were swept away in the July 4th floods. First responders learning firsthand how precious these items truly are.
There was one little girl, I don't remember her name, but she was asking me if she could bring her stuffed animal, if there was space in the helicopter, and the obvious answer was yes.
I have several friends that saying like their daughter's trunks were gone, like everything gone. So anything we can do just to help.
That help offered in the form of a Facebook page. San Antonio mom Libby Crawford created the Camp Mystic Jellycat Reunion Group, named after the popular stuffed animal brand Jellycat.
This was born out of a conversation with so many moms in this area.
So it started out, we were trying to find a limited edition, discontinued Jellycat. So I couldn't get it in time for the funeral that they needed it for.
Local parents jumped into action and found a replacement. And after that, this Lovey reunion page was born.
I opened it up and I was like, oh my God, there's over 500 people in here now, in 2 days.
People finding loveys in the debris started posting pictures.
My 4-year-old and I spotted this morning in Kerrville in the floodwaters.
So I had someone reach out and tell me that they were taking them to a church to organize.
Some grateful families are claiming them.
I feel like I heard that they did find the owner of this one.
There are people offering cleaning services. And for the loveys that remain lost, people on the page are lining up to find exact replacements.
These kids are going through something so horrific and that no adult could even handle, if you can just give them one little piece of their childhood back and their innocence, then let's try.
Courtney Friedman, KSAT 12 News.
So now you're probably wondering what you would do if you find one of those loveys. Well, first off, the first thing you do is go online. You post all of the information describing that lovey, like the specific brand and the name that's listed on the tag.
Lovey means so very much. We have a lot more news coming your way from the Texas Hill Country here this evening.
Now, we want you to stick around because after the break, we're going to bring you the voices of those who experienced this devastating flooding firsthand. Stick around. Welcome back to the bottom of the hour here. I'm Stefania Jimenez, and this is my co-anchor, Myra Arthur. We continue to cover the devastating flooding that happened here in Kerrville exactly 1 week ago today.
And it was an incredibly busy day here in Kerrville. Amid those search and recovery efforts that are still very much ongoing, the President of the United States was here for the first time, touring some of the damaged areas himself on the first day, his first visit since that tragic day a week ago. We know that after landing in San Antonio, the president was then brought here to Kerrville. He held a press conference with other state and local leaders, other politicians as well. Right now, just numbers in just a few moments ago, at least 103 people have died here in Kerr County because of these floods.
The president and Governor Greg Abbott led that roundtable discussion earlier this afternoon, and they echoed much of the messages that we've already been hearing from first responders for the last week. And that's how this community is still mourning. They're still in pain over those who died, who are missing. But they also stress that this community is going to rebuild as it continues to look for those who are still missing.
And as we continue our reporting, our storytelling and coverage of this heart-wrenching tragedy here in the Texas Hill Country, we're making a commitment to remember those victims, remember the lives that were lost in this devastation. And we want to never forget what they went through in some of those final moments.
Yeah, KSAT crews have been on the ground. We've been covering this story since it happened 1 week ago. We've been talking to so many people in the area, hearing all of their stories, and they saw this deadly flooding unfold right before their eyes. So right now, they're going to tell you in their own words how this looked from their point of view.
Overnight, it was rattling the entire house. The windows, the thunder was just like sledgehammers hitting the roof. It was unreal.
My first thought was, wow, that's good, we're getting some rain. But then I snapped and go, that's a lot of rain.
Going from RV to RV, knocking on doors, trying to get people out, waking them up.
We had a lot of them that were trying to gather their personal items, and that's like, no, you got to go.
The exterior was completely submerged. And he woke up to popping sounds in the wall of electricity. You have no control. The water's coming and you cannot stop it.
So the flood started getting bigger, and it was going up to, we have bunk beds in our cabins, and it was going up to the top bunk, and we had one choice, and we had to swim out of our cabins.
Came running up, hollering, Mimi, get up, we gotta get you to the attic.
We thought maybe we would still be okay, but then that's when the vents, water just started coming like super fast from the vents.
We couldn't get to the exterior stairwell because the current coming through the parking lot and coming down 39 was just...
It was like a river.
It was risky.
It was
one false step and you would have been gone.
Around 4:30, he started to hear screaming, and when he looked outside, we were on this upper level, but the lower level, the RVs were already starting to be washed away.
And the first thing we saw was cars with their headlights on, people inside, screams, horrible screams of people in the cars, not in the cars. We could just hear it. And they were floating by at the second level already.
So then we decided we can lift them on, we can get people up on the roof. There's an apartment on top of the mill house. And so we got sheets and wrapped it around the people and the kids and the dogs, and two men were on the roof. Me and another gentleman were on the bottom, and we'd push and they'd pull. And it was probably 40 to 45 people.
So fast, it was so crazy. My husband got inside the water because we had a family on the island way over there, and he was trying to come back on the water with his two babies in his arms. My husband got all the way down to to his waist and was yelling at him, "Throw me your baby," and the guy couldn't do it. And then a wave came in.
We went ahead and jumped out, and we got washed down 3 houses, and we finally ended up snagged on a big bush. So we hung onto the bush until we got rescued.
You can see where the water line is at the end. So we got him out and took him to safety.
I remember something hitting me on the head. How I recall it is the roof fell, but just next thing I know, house is gone. I'm glad I'm safe, but it does hurt knowing that still don't know anything about my family.
When you talk to so many people who are looking for family members and friends, it just really puts things into perspective.
I really don't have words. This is surreal, devastation. I don't have words. I really don't have words.
So this was a whole fishing dock, and our patios, chairs. This was the kayak station.
I saw total devastation in my house. I would love to be back home. I lived there for so long, and it was just an incredible place.
We're not giving up. It's very important for us to want to rebuild because we love this community. Past guests are calling, checking on us. They're okay, asking about things and saying. And the most endearing to me are the ones that says, we love that place, and when it's up and running, let me know. We want to come back and help.
On July 4th, we got the locals coming here, and the locals have not left. They're being here, they stopped going to work, they stopped everything. Construction companies stopped their jobs to be here. The locals are the #1 supporters that we have, and they're being here nonstop.
Thank God for this community. They are absolutely beautiful. Makes me, a little teary-eyed, but yeah, they're amazing.
Yes, they are. And in the wake of the devastation, we know that our neighbors in the Hill Country are going to need all the help that they can get to get back on their feet. So coming up after the break, we're going to introduce you to a group who is treating that opportunity as a second chance.
Welcome back to our live team coverage here in the Hill Country from Kerrville, where there was a presidential visit today. President Donald Trump and the First Lady both meeting with state and local leaders here in Kerrville this afternoon.
But before he did that, he also saw a lot of this devastation, the wreckage, the damage up close for the very first time since the July 4th floods. And, you know, as the recovery continues, there's also another word that you're hearing, and that's rebuilding. But before we can rebuild, we first have to remove a lot of that debris that got everywhere because of this flooding. And there are countless groups who are here across the hill country helping homeowners to do just that. One of those groups is called Restoration of Hope, and their motto is turning a mess into a message. The men with Restoration of Hope have been homeless. Some of them suffer from mental illness, or some of them have even been in prison. And now that they have a second chance, they want to use it for good. So they've spent the last few days clearing debris for homeowners.
I brought 11 guys. One of our guys down, a local company down there, donated the Bobcat for us to bring. I have roll-off trailers. I'm bringing more in, and I have lots of resources of men.
So that right there, you just heard from the group's executive director, and he says that his group is going to be in Kerr County as long as humanly possible.
In the wake of this tragedy, we don't want to forget about the impact to animals in all of this. So many impacted by the floodwaters. That's why San Antonio's Animal Care Services is asking for volunteers. They need some help. They're looking for people to help preparing kennels for use, walking and caring for pets, and folks who can support emergency response efforts. For more information on how to volunteer and sign up for time slots, you can find all of that on KSAT.com. All right, let's take a look outside with live cam right now. We're here in Kerrville, but still keeping a close eye on the weather situation in San Antonio and across South Texas. Meteorologist Shelby Ebertowski standing by with an update on that. Shelby.
Well, Myra and Stephanie, we're still tracking a few sprinkles in areas of South Texas, but even the last 30 minutes, it's continued to diminish, and that's going to continue overnight tonight. A quiet night is in store tonight. However, for the hill country tomorrow, it's going to be another story. We're tracking multiple days of potential of some heavy downpours possible, especially Saturday into Sunday night, or Sunday morning, excuse me. I'll break down the track and timing and what that means for the hill country in San Antonio coming up after the break. Good afternoon or good evening.
Shelby, you know, we want to get a check of the forecast. We've been out here live over the past week, several crews spread throughout the hill country. In those first few days after this flooding, it seemed like the rounds of rain just kept coming. And so a lot of eyes on the forecast, but it seems like we're finally getting a chance to dry out.
Right, Shelby. So tell us more about what we can expect for the rest of the weekend, because we also know that a lot of people, volunteers, are going to want to drive up here from San Antonio now that they're off for the weekend, and they want to know what these conditions are going to be like.
Well, guys, we're still continuing to see the potential over the next few days for some rain. Just take a look at authority radar. Like I've been mentioning, there's still a few showers just down near Poteet and Pleasanton, but that's going to continue to diminish over the next few hours. But that just leads until this weekend. I showed you earlier, we're still tracking the potential for some rain, but for San Antonio, starting tomorrow morning, temperatures still in those mid to upper 70s, still having temperatures still get to those 90s. So it's still going to be feeling warmer, still a little muggy, especially because we're still tracking the potential for more rain. Now, it is going to be a higher potential in the hill country, especially Saturday night into Sunday morning, about a 30% chance, but that's going to also continue to go into Sunday morning. Now, here's a rough time and track. Now, like I showed you earlier, we're still tracking the potential overnight to just have a few showers, not really tracking anything really impactful for that. But tomorrow, once again, tracking a few showers already starting in the hill country, specifically around lunchtime, and that's going to be because we're seeing some extra moisture built up from the coastal plains. As that continues to start to diminish, then we're going to track the potential for more showers and storms really starting to arrive from areas of North and West Texas near San Angelo. That's what we're watching Saturday night into Sunday morning, having a chance to impact areas of the hill country where they are still so saturated at times. So as that continues to move through, that has the potential, because we're so saturated in the hill country, to have a chance for some flooding issues as well. Now, this is Sunday morning. It can change just slightly because we're still a little ways away, but also because it's hard and the weather models can't predict the exact location of where the heavier rain bands are going to sit. But still, through Sunday morning by around lunchtime, we're still seeing the potential for some isolated rain chances, and that's going to be just the morning. In the afternoon, there is more potential for some rain, but we have to see the time of all the rain getting out Sunday morning in order to see how soon those more chances of some rain can build Sunday night. Now, like I showed you earlier, still the potential of a marginal and a slight risk for some flooding in areas of the hill country and even getting into San Antonio. And this does not include our viewing area. I want it known. However, just to the north in areas of San Angelo, San Saba, and even getting up to Abilene, they do have a flood watch in effect until Sunday at about 1 p.m. So the potential is still there for Sunday for the potential for any flash flood warnings or watches. Now, a watch basically means the flooding is possible. The exact location can still change just slightly, but you need to be prepared. A flash flood warning is there is active flooding happening, so you need to take action. I know sometimes people see the notifications go up on their phone and they can sometimes just slide them away. You need to take precautions and be prepared to move if you do have the flash flood warnings and watches. Now, over the next 7 days, like I've been mentioning, we are going to quiet down on Monday and Tuesday. Temperatures still getting into those 90s, but we're starting to see a lot more sunshine on Monday and Tuesday. We just have to get through Saturday and Sunday for the rain. In San Antonio, still about 30% chance of rain, but otherwise, as we head to the weekend and even into next week, still more chance of rain, finally tapering off as we get into Monday morning.
Shelby, thank you for that. And as for all of you back home, we want you to stick around because we're going to continue our coverage from Texas Hill Country right after the break.
When we come back, we will take you to a vigil that is set to honor all of the lives that were lost here 1 week ago today. That's starting in just a few moments when we come back. welcome back here live to Kerrville. All day long, we've been surveying the damage and the progress, really, that's been made in this neighborhood specifically. And the president himself, President Donald Trump, in Kerrville today to get a look at the devastation for himself.
And we also continue to call attention to the many, many souls that we lost 1 week ago here as a result of the flooding. Our John Paul Barajas will join us now live from a vigil that is set to start in just a few minutes. John Paul, you're right in front of the Wall of Hope. Set the scene for us.
Oh, Stephanie and Myra, the scene is simply an outpouring of community support, and more people are actively showing up, and this number of people here is growing. With that, the memorial wall here is growing. Probably 15, 20 minutes ago, people showed up with more pictures to put up along this wall. Also, a strong reminder that as the death toll, the number of the death toll continues to grow, that this is more than just a number. These are friends, family, dads, mothers, sisters, brothers, loved ones. They are real people, and they are put up against this wall. Something else that strikes me is that some of these pictures have their name, but also a note that says still missing. They haven't been found. And I've also saw one woman put up some flowers. As she put up the flowers, she said, "This is for Melissa," who her picture is not up here yet. So this memorial here is going to continue to grow. Again, it's going to start here in about 5 minutes or so. At 7 o'clock, there's going to be a prayer, a large cross, and there is support animals here to help everyone who is grieving. I'll be right back after this.
Our hearts are with the Hill Country. We'll see you tonight on the Night Beat at 10.